met bottom line expert Adam Levin. He's a consumer advocate with over 30 years of experience in personal identity theft, cybersecurity, and fraud. And he's the author of the new book, Swiped. So welcome, Adam. So tell me, why did you get into this world?
Well, thanks, Sarah. I started many years ago as the Director of Consumer Affairs for the state of New Jersey. A few years later, I started a company called Credit.com. It was one of the first online consumer credit companies. And we did it because we found that there was no central place that consumers could actually get information. And the whole goal was to teach people to understand that credit is not this scary, horrible world, that it's important to understand credit, to operate well within the credit system, and to have your credit report be a resume and not a rap sheet. And several years after that, with the advent of identity theft, I looked around and I said, I noticed there were a lot of companies out there that were involved in marketing identity theft products, but none of them ever did it right. There was no company that had ever done identity theft services based on the concept of resolution as a core competence. So the company that I created, Identity Theft 911, which has now become CyberScout, was based on the fact that we need an organization that will help people put their lives back together again after they've been victimized in an identity theft incident. And today, CyberScout has 45 million consumers through 660 companies. We are worldwide. We have 800,000 businesses through cyber liability policies. And part of the reason why we changed the name is because in many countries around the world, 911 doesn't mean what it means in the United States in terms of an emergency number.
So let me ask you this. Did fraud and all these identity theft issues not exist years ago, or has it simply accelerated thanks to the world of technology?
Well, many, many years ago, it didn't exist at all. And then there was a group of people that wanted to stay in the United States whose visas were expiring that tried to figure out how to do it. And they came up with the concept of actually stealing people's identities and masquerading as if they were them in order to be able to stay in the U.S. So this started really in the 70s, and it started to evolve to where it became something more serious in the mid-90s, and then it's exploded from there, especially because it became such an enormous revenue generator for so many people around the world, not to mention the fact that it's a wonderful source of espionage for so many state-sponsored hackers. So this is something that has evolved over time. Obviously, people have become much more aware of it. It has become more serious. As technology has evolved, the hackers and the scammers have evolved as well. And they've been using, actually, innovation and evolution in technology to prey upon the vulnerabilities of consumers in order to make this thing work.
So at this point in time, does basically everybody either they've been hacked or stolen in some way, or their privacy has been imposed upon, or they know someone so that they have to assume that they're vulnerable? I mean, who has to worry at this moment?
I think pretty much everybody has to worry they're vulnerable. And it's not just a question of if you're over the age of 18, because a significant portion of identity theft occurs that involves children, because there's nothing more precious than the Social Security number of a child, because children aren't checking their credit, and parents don't necessarily check children's credit or worry about their identity. So this is a problem. Reality is, breaches have become the third certainty in life. Everyone, in one form or another, either has or will be exposed. And frankly, the only reason why everybody hasn't become a victim of identity theft so far is that there are so many victims of identity theft that the hackers really haven't gotten around to all of them yet.
So you've written this great new book, Swiped. So give me 10 seconds on what Swiped is all about.
It's all about the fact that in the world we live in, where everyone is vulnerable, where so many databases have been hacked, that instead of thinking purely about prevention, you now have to think about what I call the 3 M's. How do you minimize your risk of exposure? How do you effectively monitor? And how do you manage the damage?
And you give all that specific advice on what someone should do in that book.
I give a great deal of advice about what people should do. And of course, my most important piece of advice to everyone is stay alert, stay vigilant, and realize it doesn't matter how many laws there are. It doesn't matter how vigorously they're enforced. The ultimate guardian of the consumer was, is, and always will be the consumer, because no one has a greater stake in our financial security than we do, and no one has a better idea of what we're doing than we have.
And that's why we get along so well, because that's what Bottom Line is all about. You're all about self-advocacy, which is exactly what our mission is, to give people the power and information that they need in their lives. And there's so many things they need to be on their toes about.
No, absolutely. And not only in terms of how we run our lives, but how we interact with legislators and businesses. And the fact of the matter is that you vote. You vote with at the ballot box, you vote with your feet, you vote with your money. The more vociferous you are and zealous you are in your protection, the more pressure you can exert on others to make them understand we are all in this together and we're going to solve this together, or it's only going to get worse.
So people can get your book at our website, bottomlinestore.com, and they can also learn more about what you do and how they can protect themselves at adamlevin.com.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Adam.
Thank you for inviting me.
You can get Adam's book swiped at bottomlinestore.com. And do that social thing, because this information is so important. And as Adam said, we're all in this together. So share this video, let your friends know about Adam's good work, and again, come to our site.